Welcome, everybody. This is Ken Tucker with Changescape Web. And today on the Marketing Guides for Small Businesses podcast, we have a very special guest, somebody that I'm really excited for you guys to get to hear from, and that's Allie Bloyd. Allie is a leading Facebook ads expert, known for helping local and service-based businesses increase sales, profit, and efficiency through a predictable, automated customer acquisition system. Allie's the founder of Allie Bloyd Media, which is a marketing agency and consultancy, a seven-figure entrepreneur, and has been featured in numerous magazines such as and online publications such as Forbes, Social Media Examiner, Digital Marketer, Smart Marketer, and more. She's also a very highly sought after speaker and has spoken on many of the largest stages in the world of marketing. Allie, I know you have a real passion for helping local business owners thrive in their communities and also educating marketers. So we're really excited to have you join us today. Thank you so much.
Well, I am so excited to be here. Cannot wait to deliver some awesome value and insights for your audience.
I know you will. Just full disclosure, I am a part of Allie's mastermind program. And Allie, I have to say, I think you are one of the most, if not the most brilliant marketing mind that I've come across. So I've really enjoyed working with you. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so happy to be working with you as well.
Yeah. So let's start with Facebook ads. I know a lot of people get really frustrated with Facebook ads. And I think as a result, they think, that they're basically, Facebook is a free platform. They shouldn't have to pay a lot of money for ads. The user interface is a little bit challenging and intimidating, I think, for a lot of small business owners.
Yep.
Many business owners really struggle with what is a right budget to be able to spend on Facebook ads. And you've got a brilliant, model, the AB3 advertising model, that I think really adds just tremendous clarity for people to understand how do you need to tackle, your Facebook ad campaigns and what objectives and how the ads need to align those objectives. So I'd love for you to just kind of talk about Facebook ads and go through some of the essentials of what an effective Facebook ad campaign is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're very right. The advertising user interface is not super straightforward. There are a lot of small little buttons and checkboxes that can actually have a pretty big impact on how your campaign performs. And so a lot of people definitely get overwhelmed. But just like with anything else, the more that you're in it, the more that you're doing it, the easier it's going to become. So it's really just a matter of getting started in my mind. However, when you are spending money on paid advertising, you've got to be really, really conscious of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Otherwise, you could lose a lot of money. We'll kind of start on the budgeting side. I know you mentioned, this is a free platform. Should you have to pay to advertise? How much should you spend? The ability to really do very well organically, it's still there for businesses. What I've really found for small businesses, however, is it's not really a matter of trying to go viral on Facebook or Instagram necessarily. That's not going to help you that much. It might give you certain benefits, but if you're serving a local area, you really want to make sure that the people in your local area are the ones that are seeing that content or engaging with you or converting on your ads. And so doing it organically can be fine, but it is very difficult geographically to make sure that those people are within the area that you can actually service. With paid ads, you're going to have the ability to ensure that those areas are the ones that are seeing the ads that you want them to see. It was also in the past a good idea to build up your page likes and page followers quite a bit. You had the ability to communicate with those people pretty directly. But years ago, they really made that very, very difficult. You could probably reach 3 to 5% of the audience that actually likes or follows your page. So it doesn't really have that much value anymore. The biggest value that you can get is actually taking those people and adding them to your email list. So you do have the way to communicate with them directly. Now, on the budgeting side, you can spend as little or as much as you choose, but it really comes down to what are you hoping to see from the platform. If you are really focused on lead generation and customer acquisition, you're going to have to select a budget that actually makes that more possible for you. Now, every business is a little bit different in terms of what would a good budget look like? So for example, one of our other mastermind members earlier today was telling me that she's got a potential client she's speaking with. He is a restaurant owner. He's got a Mexican restaurant in the area. He doesn't have a huge budget to work with. Between $30 and $40 a day is really what he would be able to dedicate to this. And she asked, is this worth it? Should I tell him that it's not actually a good idea? Well, the truth is, you can do quite a bit on that budget for a small restaurant. If you are focused on a really tight geographic radius to where you are, and you have certain types of campaigns that are designed to try and bring in first-time customers more than anything else, especially using things like the birthday targeting. So having a special birthday offer, this can work really well for a business like that. Now, how much money is that going to produce right away? It's hard to say, but for a restaurant, they are really looking for long-term patrons of their restaurant. That money is going to be made a lot more over time. So just aligning those expectations with, are you a business that has a one-time or less frequent higher dollar sale, or do you have a recurring revenue model where the customer lifetime value is really what that individual's worth, but that cash is not going to materialize all at once? So just understanding your own KPIs in your business, like what is a good cost per lead for you? What is a good cost per appointment or to have somebody walk through your door? What do people spend on average with each transaction? How long do they spend with you? So those numbers are very, very important. Now, we've also got businesses that might be like a kitchen and bath remodeler or a home builder. It's a totally different story. These are higher dollar transactions, higher dollar purchases. You really need to be willing to spend a little bit more to acquire a customer in that type of scenario. If you are selling $200,000 kitchen and bath remodels, if you're not willing to spend a little bit of money to acquire that customer, your expectations are just not in line with reality. So understanding based on your own internal profit margins and how much time or materials it costs you to actually fulfill on this product or service, what is a good customer acquisition cost for you? And then that customer acquisition cost is going to be the focal point. So we can reverse engineer these numbers to say, okay, if this is our customer acquisition cost, what percentage of our appointments typically close? How much should it cost to get those appointments? How many leads convert into appointments? So all of these numbers adding up together should be able to give you a reasonable customer acquisition cost. Now, for every business owner, we're trying to get that as low as we possibly can. But Ryan Deiss has said in the past, and it's something that's always stuck with me, the person who can pay the most to acquire the customer wins. And that is more so true today, I think, than ever before, because a lot of businesses are too hesitant to actually spend what they need to spend to acquire a customer. So they actually waste more money because they're trying to go too small, and their competitors end up converting those leads and customers instead. So I normally recommend that if you are focused on actual lead generation and customer acquisition, you need to be able to spend at least $1,500 a month. Now, that is not true across the board in terms of, can you get leads for less than that? Well, absolutely, you can get leads for less than that. But are you trying to get leads coming in every single day? Are you trying to get the volume of leads that you need to convert those leads into appointments? How many sales are you really looking for? So sometimes lowering your budget too much actually prevents you from getting the results that you want, and it can cause you to waste that budget because it's not really being effectively maximized. When it comes to kind of the overall ad strategy, you mentioned the AB3 strategy. This is something that I've been using for a very long time, and it's been awesome because even with all the platform changes, it hasn't impacted how we use this strategy, which I think is a little bit unique in all honesty, because a lot of times you do need to adjust your strategy based on how these platforms are changing. The beauty of the AB3 model is that it's just simply based on human buying behavior. And the concept is that we need to establish that know, like, and trust factor with our potential audience, whether they're in a local area, regional area, or across the country. It's not that you can only sell to people who know you already and have that sense of trust, but it is going to make it so much easier for you, and it's going to make it a lot more cost effective if you incorporate that into your strategy. So this is what we consider level 1. These are going to be things like engagement-based ads, video view-based ads, or even traffic-based ads going to a blog or some piece of content that there is no opt-in required for that. This is free value that you are giving so that you can try and leverage reciprocity, and also use it to identify who is actually a good potential fit for what I do. If you can create content that is relevant or interesting to an ideal customer or someone who could be a potential customer, the content itself through those ads is actually helping you to do the targeting. You're identifying the intent or somebody who has the problem you can help solve, or that desire or need that you can actually fulfill for someone. Level 2 is focused on the offers. The offers are obviously the most important thing in actually generating leads, appointments, or sales, but that's not the only thing we ever want to be presenting. We want to make sure that we are giving as well as asking for things. So in terms of budget for level 1, I usually recommend anywhere between 10% to 20%. Usually people stay around that 10% mark, but maybe early on while you're trying to build that audience for the first time, you might add a little bit of additional budget into level 1 to try and expedite that process. Level 2 is going to be anywhere between 60 to 80% of your budget. If you are giving more to level 1, you're going to have a little bit less at level 2. Same thing for level 3, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is really where the majority of your budget is spent, and this is where the magic really happens. But level 1 is going to help you feed into level 2 and level 3. What happens at level 2 is also going to feed into level 3. So making sure you've got the right offers is critical. Those could be lead magnets or gated content offers. They might be loss leader offers or just direct product preview style offers. Different businesses are going to do better with certain types of offers. So just really getting clear on what offers even are, why they matter so much, and do you as a business owner have the right offers that are going to be something that will drive people to action, that have a sense of urgency to them if possible, and that really showcase the value of what you're providing. Having the right funnels is always important, but you don't even have to have funnels when you first get started. You can use things like lead forms or messenger ads to try and test out those offers pretty quickly and easily without having to do a ton of technical setup, which is something that really holds people back from launching these types of ads a lot of times. And then we've got level 3. Level 3 is your retargeting. We know that people do not typically make a buying decision the first time that they see a business or see an ad. It has been around 8 touch points that typically will cause someone to convert in the past. I think we're up to the point where it could be anywhere between 25 and 32 touch points. Now, that doesn't mean they have to see your ad 25 to 32 times. All of these different things add up to give you those touch points. So level 1 is going to be certain touches. Level 2, the email marketing or text marketing or phone follow-up that you're doing on the back end are going to go into that as well. But we know that just because somebody shows interest, if they don't convert, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. It doesn't mean that they're not a good fit. A lot of times, social media is going to be used when somebody may not be able to take a phone call right then. They may not be able to make that buying decision right then, or maybe they need additional information. So level 3 allows you to maximize everything you're spending at level 2 and also maximize everything that you are spending anywhere or any time that you are putting into things like organic SEO or Google Business Profile SEO. If somebody's going to your website and they do not convert, we don't want that to be the last time that they see you or hear from you. This is something that will allow you to really kind of scoop up any potentially lost leads and get a really good cost per lead and just maximize your budget overall. So same thing at level 3, anywhere between 10 and 20% of your budget. If you've got a smaller retargeting audience when you start, as most people are going to have, you don't need to spend too much. Otherwise, you're really going to saturate that audience very, very quickly, and it's not going to be a huge benefit for you long term. So we just want to make sure that that budget is aligned with how many people we estimate are going to be in this audience as a whole. But this could be people who are watching those level 1 videos, clicking on your blog content, engaging with your page, engaging with your level 2 ads, going to your website through any type of marketing or organic search. So this is really where we make sure that every single lead that we could generate has been generated at level 3. And these are sometimes the easiest ads to launch. If you've been doing any other type of marketing and you don't have retargeting ads set up on Facebook and Instagram, this is like a very, very easy way to get started. I know a lot of businesses that spend pretty good money on Google ads. They're not doing anything on Facebook and Instagram. Setting up that campaign can get you immediate high intent leads at a pretty low cost. So definitely a great starting point for somebody who's just dipping their toe in the water. But the way that this works best is when all 3 levels are used. And then, like you mentioned, there are different ways you're going to set up those ads based on those different levels, different ad objectives that you'll use, because they ultimately have different goals. We're not really looking to generate leads at level 1. So we're not going to be judging those ads based on how many leads it generates. We're definitely looking at cost per lead or cost per conversion at level 2. And then we'd also be looking at those things on level 3. But just because the audience sizes are different, the amount of money that we're spending is different, we're going to have some different ad structures or campaign structures on those to make sure that we're giving Facebook what it needs to do the very best job with our budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've heard you say in the past, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but like the people who take action right away typically is like maybe 5%. And if you do add the remarketing into it, you can actually nudge that up to like maybe 15% or so. I don't know if those are the exact numbers that you've talked about in the past, but that's a huge improvement.
It is a huge improvement. Absolutely. Yeah. So we had somebody who set up their first retargeting campaign, I think within the last week. Their typical cost per lead was anywhere between, I'd say $10 with the ones that were performing best, but it could also be up to about $35. Their level 3 campaigns are producing leads less than $3 right now. I've also got electric companies that we've worked with that do a lot on Google ads, and setting up their first retargeting campaign, they're getting leads for less than $10 a piece, which is much lower than what they typically see when they're running things like Google ads. So definitely an awesome piece to add to any business, especially if you've done any other type of advertising. But even if you haven't, that level 1 and level 2 is going to give you what you need to have that audience for level 3.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's maybe shift to video ads a little bit on the Meta platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Allie, can you share any recommendations or best practices for the essential, what you need to do to get into using video ads for small business applications?
Definitely. So video ads can absolutely work really well. I do like to make sure people understand it's not critical that you run video ads. There are image-based ads that can outperform video ads any day of the week. However, video is super important. It's the most consumed type of media that we have in our world today. And it also has benefits that the other creative types don't have. The ability to build that know, like, and trust factor with somebody is so much easier through video than any other medium. People like to see a human being. They like to hear the voice of someone who's speaking. They like to get to know you or feel like they get to know you. And so we are going to do things a little bit differently in those pieces of video content, depending on, is this an organic piece of content or is this for paid ads? And then which level is this video for? So I really highly recommend that people use video for level 1. As I mentioned, there are other types of ads you can use on this as well, but video is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. You can reach a far greater number of people using the video views objective because they know that people are inclined to watch video. Whenever you're saying, hey, video views is my objective, that's telling Facebook, I want you to put this in front of the people who are most likely to watch video from my audience. Well, that's literally everybody these days. And so the ability to just stretch your budget farther is definitely there. And it's also going to give you those other added benefits, such as the know, like, and trust factor and the ability to segment your audience based on how long they watch the video. So if you've got really strong video content, if people are watching 50%, 75%, 95%, we know they're a lot more interested in what it was you were talking about. Now, just because you can do that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to set it that high right out of the gate, especially if you're new to video, because it could just be that you just weren't very good on video, and you'll get better and better over time. So I recommend just kind of setting that bar a little bit lower when you first get started. But for level 1 videos, we want to make these value-based. We want to make these educational, helpful, could be entertaining. That's definitely one way to do it. A lot of businesses don't really feel like they know how to make entertaining or humorous video content. So if that's how you feel, you don't have to do that. But providing something of value that people would want to watch. The more closely aligned it is to the topic of that core offer that you want to present at level 2, the better this is going to work. It does not have to be about the exact thing you're selling, but it really should help you identify who is going to be a good fit for this type of offer, or just in general, the products and services that you sell. So for example, I have a client who sells horse fencing. For his level 1 content, he does not have to talk about horse fencing in every single video, but he does need to talk to horse owners. He needs to try and identify who owns a horse, what type of content is only relevant for people who own horses. He also has cattle fencing, so the same thing applies there. Some products and services are a little less interesting than others, to be honest. And there might be a business that you're in that people don't really care that much about the details of what it is you do or the product itself, but they may care a lot about the surrounding topics. It's always good to mix in a few things that are directly related to what you sell for sure, but you're probably going to have a slightly higher cost per through play or just less consumption overall, which is fine as long as it still does a great job of identifying a potential buyer. But just really, really think hard about those topics. What topic only applies to my ideal audience? What topic segments this audience and lets me know that if somebody's watching, they are a good potential fit? And what can I do to truly provide value to these people so that when they hear this content, they've got a light bulb that goes off, or they're like, wow, that was really helpful. Or maybe they share that with somebody. This is going to really just strengthen the relationship between you and that business. In terms of actually recording the content, you can keep it pretty chill. You don't need any professional video recording tools. Cameras on phones are really, really good these days. I recommend recording in a horizontal format and then putting them in a square frame. So we want to have a square with a colored background with that video sitting right in the middle, and then use that space above the video to have a really strong headline or hook that somebody at a glance knows, is this video something that's for me? Is this something I'd be interested in? Always add captions or subtitles to those videos, because about 80% of people are typically scrolling with their sound off. They may turn the sound on if they click on something, but they might be sitting in a business meeting and not really paying attention and scrolling, and they can't turn that on. So just making sure that anybody can still get the content of that video. Length of time can vary. It used to be that we could only do up to a minute. You could have 15-second level 1 videos. You could have 4-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute videos. I've had videos up to 8 minutes perform really well. But if you're doing longer videos, it has got to be value, value, value all the way through. We can't have dead space. We cannot have things that are just kind of dragging out slowly. We need to make sure that it is compelling. Otherwise, people are going to stop watching. But if they are really into the content, and if you need that much time to explain what it is you're explaining, then the length of time doesn't really matter as much. We also don't really want to use these videos as a way to pitch our offers. You can always have a soft call to action at the end. If somebody wants to learn more about how you can work with them or help them, we don't want to make it harder for them, but that's not the goal. The goal is that value, building the audience, reciprocity. And so those are the types of videos I recommend for level 1. For level 2, it's very different, because our goal is to get the lead, to get the conversion. These videos are going to be a lot more direct offer focused. And you can still use education mixed within those. But our goal is that somebody watching this video knows what we want them to do next, knows why they need to do it. And then level 3, video can also work well there. typically, because this is retargeting, we want to reference the fact that we know somebody already took an action, whether that's going to the website or engaging with our content or page or watching their videos. So letting people know this is a retargeting ad is a good way to go about this. We also want to use a sense of urgency or a sense of exclusivity, something that gets them to try and take action right away, because we already know they've had the opportunity and they haven't done it yet. So what is standing in their way? Now, this could be video testimonials. Video testimonials can work really well at level 3. You don't even have to be in the video at all. But it could just be a very short, talking head, face to camera style video that's referencing, hey, if you're seeing this ad, there's still a few spots available for our in-person seminar this weekend. If you haven't signed up yet, now's your last chance. Go ahead and click the button and make sure that you reserve your seat before we're full. So that could be the whole video, could be the whole script. If we're talking about video ads in general, YouTube ads is also something that we've gotten a lot more into over the last year and a half. And this is going to have a slightly different script, different format. People are not scrolling on YouTube. They are there to watch a video. And you are going to be either in the middle of the video they're already watching, or you're going to be at the beginning. And we want something that will get them to continue watching and not just skip it right away. So your hooks are going to be extremely important. You also don't need high quality production here, but this can work a little bit better in some cases on YouTube. But very organic feeling content works great for YouTube ads as well. And then we do want to weave in that education with the offer in the YouTube ads. So we don't have any supporting text to be able to give context to this video like we would on Facebook and Instagram. And we also don't necessarily have that ability to kind of build that audience necessarily in the same way. So just trying to combine almost the concept of level 1 and level 2 is what can give you a really solid YouTube ads video script. But in general, I just recommend identifying what style is going to work best for you. If you have no interest in ever being on camera, could it be somebody who's within your business that is fine to be on camera? Or do you just do text on screen style videos? Do you do B-roll style videos? That is something that anybody can do. And you can do it really easily these days with all of the different video platforms that make this simple. Just keep in mind that people connect with people. So the more you can incorporate a person, even if it is an AI video avatar, and this is the avatar that you use in all your videos to represent your company, people do have a tendency to just connect more when there is an actual human in that video. You also can take short form video styles like things you would see on TikTok or Instagram Reels, and you can use that same style of video as well in your paid advertising. Skits, funny skits can work really well. If you're both characters, you can do that very, very easily. You also can do things that are just B-roll with some text on the screen, and those can also work well. So lots of different video styles, but I think the most important thing is that you know, where is this video going? What is the purpose of this video? What's it designed to do? And then making sure that you're recording kind of within those parameters and that you simply get started and you start testing it, because you're not going to find what works best for you if you're not using video content in your advertising. So just do it and you will see the data, you will learn from those things, and you will get better as you go.
So Allie, YouTube ads, you talked about them. So in a lot of small businesses, they don't use them. So why should a small business be utilizing YouTube ads, and where do they fit in the sales funnel?
Yeah, so I agree. There are not nearly as many small businesses leveraging YouTube ads. And that's one of the reasons why businesses should go ahead and get started with this. There is a lot less competition on this platform for the exact products and services that they provide in their local area. We also have the ability to reach a different audience here. There are a lot of people who don't really utilize social media, but they do utilize YouTube. So many people utilize YouTube. So my dad, for example, he would be an ideal buyer for a lot of different products and services. He's not on Facebook. He's not on Instagram. He's not on any social media channel, but he's on YouTube all the time. So a great example of how this individual would never be reached with any of these other platforms, but this is a platform you can reach them. The other big benefit is their targeting. So they are owned by Google. They have access to the Google search data. They have access to a lot of demographic data that Facebook and Instagram may still have access to, but they do not make it as easy as they used to be able to target based on those pieces of information. And so targeting wise, you've got a lot of cool options. You can target based on what people are in the market for, based on their search history or their YouTube watch history. You can advertise in front of specific YouTube channels. If somebody's going to a channel that is very much aligned with what you do, and you say, anybody watching these videos is a great potential customer, go ahead and advertise in that way. And then you also can do things that are similar to what you would do on Facebook with lookalike audiences, custom audiences, things like that. So targeting wise, they definitely are a step up from what we can now do with Facebook and Instagram, because they've slowly removed so many of those targeting options that they once had. I think the other reason to go ahead and do this is because this may be one of your best platforms, but you will never know if you don't actually give it a try. Most businesses who've kind of dabbled with the idea of doing this haven't done it because they don't know how to set it up on a technical level, but you don't have images and text really to fall back on. You have to have strong video ad creative to be able to run YouTube ads in general. And you don't just want one, you need several, because we're going to test these and see what works best. So that holds a lot of people back. But if you can really just keep in mind that it's not something that you need a professional videographer for, it's not something that has to be done with a lot of editing. It can be something that you start with what you have, but the script itself, the content of what you're saying, is the most important piece of this. So if you can simply do that, sometimes with just a little bit of direction, you're going to be able to create several video ads pretty quickly. Go ahead and get those set up, because this is another audience in some cases than what you can reach elsewhere. But even if it's very similar or the same people, this is one additional place that you're going to be in front of them. It's one additional touch point that you're going to be in front of them with. And in some cases, you can have a longer period of time to explain in detail either the education you want to share or details about the offer that you want to discuss. So definitely a very strong option for so many businesses. And if you are good at video, it might be one of the first places you start, but typically we see people starting with Facebook or with Google Ads because they're a little bit easier in terms of the creative assets that somebody needs to get started with them.
You know, I think that's a good point about the phones. The cameras on phones are really good. And if you're someone that's comfortable on camera, video ads, YouTube ads, they can actually be easier than other type, because you get on camera. If you're comfortable on camera, you get on camera, you do a video, and there you go. You're done. You don't have to create these images or these other creatives.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people are intimidated, though, by being on camera initially. So, you know, I think you've talked about this, Allie. I mean, the key thing is just do it, because if you never do it, you're never going to start to get comfortable with it. And the more you do it, you know, and after the third or fourth or fifth time, you may not even think about the fact that you're on camera anymore.
Absolutely. There are a lot of great ways to make this easier. You've got teleprompter apps where you can read scripts. You've even got eye contact correction tools that you could be looking at the script and reading from it, and it'll make it look like you're looking directly at the camera. You also can add B-roll in places where maybe you were looking at the script and not at the camera. So whatever you can do, there is a way to make that work. I think as long as you're focused on that script first, it's going to be much easier. You can do these in very short sections. What I typically do for a lot of my video content is I'll have my script. I will look down at the script and I'll memorize the line. And then I'll look up at the camera and I'll deliver the line. Then I'll go back and I'll look at the next line, do the same thing, go back up and deliver the line. And it takes a little bit longer, but really not that much time. You can take that one video file and remove all of the dead space, all of the filler words, you know, any of those word gaps in seconds using tools like Descript and a lot of other video editors these days. And so you don't have to do a million takes of these different things. Even just having one video file, no matter how much you pause or you stop and restart, it doesn't matter because those are all going to be taken out in the editing process anyway. So just getting comfortable with doing scripting and then looking at the script and then delivering it to the camera in whatever format works best, whether you're outside, just kind of on the job, those can work really well. Could be sitting in your office and you just add some B-roll and some, animation to make it a little bit more exciting. Lots of different formats can work and none of them have to be complicated.
Just watch out for wearing glasses and doing the eye contact correction. Sometimes you get your eyes moving in different directions.
I'm sure. That's funny.
Allie, you broached the Google Ads topic a little bit, but Google Ads have traditionally been a very strong place to advertise. And of course, after COVID or during COVID, prices started to go up significantly when people started to put more money towards there and competition went up. What place does Google Ads still have with small businesses, and how does it fit within an omni-channel approach?
I definitely think for certain businesses, Google Ads is the first place that they should start. Now, every market is a little bit different. There are certain markets and certain industries within those markets that the competition is just astronomical and the costs are really, really high. Now, that doesn't mean it couldn't still be profitable for you, but it's even more important that the landing page that you're driving them to is very optimized and that every single lead that comes through is contacted immediately, that you are working those leads really diligently so that you can maximize what you're spending and still get a return on investment from that. There are great ways for people, even in high competition industries or markets, to use this. So for example, if you're a lawyer and you're in a big city, that is, especially like a personal injury attorney or something like that, very, very, very competitive. If you are trying to work on your organic SEO, you may not be able to make a dent in that because people have been working hard on that, putting a lot of money and time towards it for 10, 20, 30 years in some cases. So you might not really be able to show up very easily on search, even though you need to be there, because when people are looking for somebody like you, they're going to search for that. And so this still could be a great opportunity to be a part of search marketing. You're paying for it instead of building that organically, but you may not really have another option. Now, Google Business Profiles are also a great way to do this, but in some cases, there's a lot of competition in those same markets as well. And so if you know that you have a product or service or industry where people are searching for this when they need it, you may really, really, really want to look at this first. It can be pretty easy to use Google Ads. There is not a lot of creative, if any creative in most cases, that goes into this. You're going to have your headlines and you're going to have your short body copy. So it is not a lot of text either. Now, sometimes limited text actually makes it harder to really put together something very strong because you've got to be super intentional about every word. But I do think in terms of actually creating the ads themselves, it can be quite a bit easier. The tracking is something that most people struggle with to set up on any platform. So you do need to make sure you have the proper tracking in place. But I do think for any industry where people are already looking for what you do, it is something you really want to consider. This is something where, let's say you've got like an emergency service. Maybe you are an emergency remediation company or something like that, or you are a company who deals with mold, okay? You still can utilize things like Facebook and Instagram in your marketing strategy, but in large part, people who know that they have this problem, they're going to be contacting somebody right away because this isn't something that they really want to, take time to sift through all the options and decide, should I do this? Should I not? They know they have this problem. They know they need somebody to help them with it. They're going to be searching for that. This is probably a bigger part of a strategy for a business in that space. But Facebook and Instagram can also be really, really effective in just making yourself stand out from the competition. Establishing that relationship with people even when they're not looking for it, because not everybody is even going to be searching for something, even if they need it, even if they think about it every single day. And so social media is perfect to be able to get in front of those people either before they have the need or while they're thinking about that need. So if you can do both, definitely ideal, but just really ask yourself, do I have a product and service that when somebody needs help with this, they're going to try and take action on it right away? If so, Google Ads absolutely is a place that you want to focus. And then after that, you can shift over to social media. And I think that's really the way that I would look at it. But ultimately, for most businesses, I think Google Ads is definitely something that they want to consider. The question is, at what point do you start to implement that into your strategy, and how much budget do you want to give it? So I think really focusing first on those higher value products and services, the things with the best margins, or maybe the things that you know people are searching for in just higher volumes, being able to try and capture the leads and the traffic that are coming through those search terms is a great place to start, because even if you have fewer of them, they may be worth a lot more to you. Or maybe you have kind of a unique product and service that a lot of your competitors don't have. Focusing on some of those terms as opposed to the terms that everybody else is going to be using can give you a great opportunity to leverage this without really spending too much money.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the things we found too in highly competitive markets is to actually pinpoint neighborhoods that are not as competitive and put more budget towards those instead of competing on the large budget areas where lots of competition exists. So.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. So a lot of different ways on any of these platforms to get really specific or to go a little bit more broad. I think the primary downside of Google Ads in my mind is that you are limited to the number of people that are searching for the things that you are advertising for. There's not a lot of search traffic for any of the products and services that you have within your area. There's only going to be so much that you can spend on Google. And even if you max out the budget that you could spend, you're not going to have any additional opportunity. So you may want to continue growing a lot more than what you can get from that one platform. So trying to get the best cost in place, potentially max out what you can spend on Google, depending on what it is you're targeting. And then say, okay, if we want more, now we can add on these other platforms.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Google Ads they do some weird things. Like if you're a service area business and you're targeting zip codes, I guarantee you, you're going to get some kind of policy violation, which may or may not impact anything, but Google does weird things.
They all do, honestly.
They all do, yeah.
Weird glitches, weird flags for things that don't really apply. I think these platforms have definitely taken a non-human approach to most of those things. And so depending on the industry, especially, you're going to get rejections. You're going to have to appeal things and republish things. And, you just kind of expect it, I think, at this point. But they all have their own way of doing things. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of AI monitoring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So, Allie, one of the key things that I think, we've talked a lot about driving traffic and generating leads. You've got to get them to go somewhere. And so, we talk about this concept of a sales funnel. I'd love it if you would just kind of talk about what you see as the essential elements of a sales funnel. And then also, what are the common mistakes, including, whether or not people are actually using sales funnels or not when they're spending money to drive traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, for people who aren't familiar, a sales funnel is just going to be a series of steps that you get someone to go through sequentially. And the benefit of using a sales funnel is that there is one primary message. There is one action or decision that they can make. And they are either going to take that and make that decision, or they are going to leave. And you can get people to do the exact things that you want them to do by putting these pages into a sales funnel. Ultimately, it really comes down to your offer. There are different types of funnels that are more appropriate for different types of offers. So it all starts with really identifying what that offer is. Now, you can have sales funnels that are very short. There's not a lot of text on them, and they can work really well. There are also some that need to be longer form in terms of the copy or the words that are on that page. There are certain funnels that the video is the most important thing, and there are other funnels that don't really need videos to perform well. So identifying what that offer is and asking yourself, what are the steps that I want someone to take if they want to claim this offer, and what is the order of those steps? And then ultimately, where do I need to get them to actually make a sale? So many businesses sell based on conversation. So they cannot sell to someone if they don't have a conversation with them. Yet most of these businesses are not driving people to a conversation. They are saying, here's a link to our website, or you can call us, go ahead and call us. Well, that might work in certain scenarios, but there are also a lot of times, like we talked about earlier, where somebody can't take that phone call right away. So I definitely recommend that if you have a business in which you need to speak to someone by phone, through Zoom, or even at their place of work or their home, that you add in self-scheduling to your funnel. Let someone either request an appointment, even if that's not an automatically confirmed appointment, or go ahead and just book a time to talk. This will get you more leads going to that next step where you have to get them there in order to close the sale. So really thinking about where is our ideal selling scenario and how can we get more people to that specific step. And then also not assuming that people understand the value of what you're going to provide. This is a big one. A lot of people are just like, oh, get a free estimate, get a free quote. Okay, well, that might be the next step they need to take, but is that really the offer? What are the details of what you're doing at this meeting, at this appointment that will provide value to the person that is going through this process? So really getting clear on all of the individual elements of everything that you do and how it provides value or a positive experience to the person who is taking that step. That's an easy one for most people to do because so many businesses have an appointment of some form or a conversation that has to be taking place. Now, if you sell products, those products are also going to be able to be set up in a sales funnel. The question is, if somebody buys this first product, what other products are appropriate for them? What does this purchase tell me that they may also want or need? Or how can I simply sell them more of the same product that they just purchased to increase that average order value and maximize my return on investment? So very simple 2-step funnels can work. Usually most of ours are 3 steps. It's going to be some form of an opt-in, then usually a scheduling and a thank you page. For product-based or direct sales-based funnels, it might be 10 pages, depending on how many things you're presenting. But I recommend keeping it simple first. Like we mentioned earlier, if you don't know if this offer is actually something that's going to work for you, you don't know how much people are going to want it, I would not spend too much time building out a lot of pages and funnels because you may just have to redo all of that. So it's wasted time, wasted money. Starting with things like lead forms, which you can do on a variety of platforms, can be a very easy way to get started. And if you're seeing good results from that, then okay, people are interested in this. Now I should probably go ahead and set up these pages, because the benefit of having those funnels and those landing pages is that you are going to get higher quality traffic typically than you would with lead forms alone. Now, that's not 100% true across the board, but overall, if there is more friction, if there are more steps for somebody to take advantage of what you have, the people who take those steps are more serious. It also will allow them to be redirected to that next steps page, that scheduling page, or that additional checkout page automatically without them having to take another manual action. So it can increase your appointments as opposed to just getting you more leads. So just starting simple and then adding the friction or the complexity in as you go once you already know that this is something that is going to work well for you. So I think we kind of covered, some different mistakes that people make in there. I think probably the biggest is that they don't follow up with their leads. This is a huge problem in so many industries. Business owners, I think people in general, we're such a technologically advanced world. We can do things in an instant. We'd like to believe that we can do everything without having to talk to a single person, without having to lift a finger. And while there are absolutely cases in which that is true, if you're spending any money driving leads on any platform or sending people through your sales funnel, you need to prioritize follow up to those people if you want to make the most money. And that needs to be outbound phone follow-up. This is really, really important. And so many people they don't want to do it anymore. But email and text message as well. Text message is hugely beneficial. If you're not using text message follow-up or any form of text message communications, you need to do that. People are very likely to open their text. The They don't really leave a ton of unread text on their phone. People are more likely to get into a conversation with you through text, even if they're busy doing something else where they may have not answered the phone. They will text with you, and you can still sell people directly through text or get them to schedule that appointment through text. We also have great opportunities for AI to actually handle all of those text message conversations, which means that you can have really a 24/7 sales agent monitoring all of those conversations and getting more money coming in or more appointments coming in. So whether it's you doing that personally or somebody on your team or using something like AI, it's something that really needs to be done if your ads and your funnels are going to perform at the highest level.
Yeah, we had Jay Bear on about 6 months ago or so talking about his book, Time to Win, and it's all about speed of response, and if you're the first business to respond, you're much more likely to win that business.
Absolutely.
So having a system in place to be able to do that is really important. But the other thing that he found is that, which I think is fascinating, is you can be the first to respond in the most expensive, because price really starts to play a lot less of a role because you did respond more quickly. And so price, the speed of response has become as important or maybe even more important than price for a lot of people, which is huge, because so many businesses feel like they have to rush to offer the lowest price to be able to win the business. And that's not a sustainable long-term business model.
Definitely not. I think you're absolutely right. And at that point, they haven't gotten a bunch of quotes or pricing yet. And so price is really only going to be compared when they have something to compare it to. If you can go ahead and establish that relationship, get that conversation started, get them to the next step, you are going to be able to show them the value that the price represents, as opposed to trying to compete with people that maybe offer half of what you offer. And that's why the price is so much lower. So being able to really win the business on your own merits, I think is very important. And especially depending on what it is you sell, sometimes people need things and they need them really quickly. They don't have time to wait around. There are definitely a lot of businesses within the home services space that historically it's like pulling teeth to try and get a quote or get somebody to come out to you or answer the phone. And if that's the way that you're doing business, you definitely shouldn't be running paid advertising, because you are going to lose out on potential clients by not contacting them or not contacting them quickly enough. So just know that every single person who comes through, who is ringing in, who is reaching out, these are people that could be paying customers, and it's your job to get them across the finish line. You can't expect everyone to come to you handing you money pre-sold, ready to buy that instant. You've got to be able to do the work on your part to get them there.
Yep. So Allie, we only have a couple minutes left. Just wanted to see if there's anything that we haven't really talked about that you think is super important to share with our audience today.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot. So honestly, I think really identifying where you as an individual business need to start is the most important thing, because there are so many different platforms, so many different ways to do things, different types of offers, different types of funnels. And if you are thinking you have to do them all, you're going to be really overwhelmed, and you're obviously going to be spread a little bit more thin if you're trying to do that. So you do not have to start with everything, and you really shouldn't start with everything. You need to identify which platform do you feel has the best opportunity for you initially. Go ahead and do what is required to learn how to run ads on this platform. And if that means recording videos, then you do it. If it means creating images or having someone else create them for you, or writing ad copy, whatever is necessary, you just go through those steps one at a time. And as I mentioned, just making sure that the offer that you plan on advertising is what will work best for you financially, and also something that you believe a good volume of people are going to be interested in. Or even if it's not on the volume side, there might be less people who need this, but this should be a very profitable product for you if you're going to spend the time and money to actually advertise this. So get clear on your offer. Make sure that you know which platform you want to start with, or if you're already running ads on some of these platforms and you're not getting the results that you want, figure out why that is before you just try and throw money at another platform, because it could very likely be your offer or your messaging or your targeting, things that you might just set up the exact same way on another platform and see the same lack of results. So just one step at a time, learning these things, I feel like for most businesses is the best way to go. Not everybody wants to or can spend thousands and thousands of dollars every single month to have somebody do it for them. If you have no interest in doing this yourself, then absolutely it's better to get someone else to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to get done. But if you're a business that has to decide, this budget that I have, is that going to go to my ads or is that going to go to somebody to run my ads? It's better for you to learn what is necessary to be able to get this moving forward to a place where maybe then you can have somebody else take it over for you. So don't be scared to dive into some of the tech stuff, even if it's extremely unfamiliar to you or makes you nervous. I promise you, I have taught so many people who had extremely limited technical knowledge and skills how to do these things. So you can do it. It may take you a little bit longer early on, but if this is something you're really serious about, then you as the business owner need to take the lead on that, because nobody cares as much about your business as you do. So if you're not willing to implement some of this stuff, it's going to be very unlikely that anyone else, whether they're in your company or externally, is going to be able to knock it out of the park without any involvement from you. So just kind of take ownership. Like, every business is in the marketing and sales business. It does not matter what you do. Those are the two things that every business needs. And without those two things, your business will fail. So get really serious about it. And whatever it is that you need to learn or get more familiar with doing, you just start doing it, because you have to start somewhere. So I believe every business, for the most part, should be advertising. This is how you get more clients. This is how you sell more. This is how you grow a business without relying on, external forces to just bring you clients that may or may not ever show up. So take control of your own business's future and just start with the offer, identify the platform that you want to begin with, and then follow the steps of getting that launched, tested, and try and improve those results as much as you can before you shift over to something else, or you're probably going to get mediocre results in everything you do, because nothing has really gotten the time and attention that it deserves.
Yeah. Allie, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
all of your insight and wisdom. Every time I, have a chance to listen to you, I just learn so much. So I really appreciate it.
I love it. So glad to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can our viewers and listeners learn more about your agency and your consultancy?
Yeah, they can go to alliebloyd.com. So ALLIE, as in boy, LOYD.com. They can also check out my podcast, Marketing Inc. I also have a YouTube channel with a lot of really, really valuable content. You can just search for me at Allie Bloyd. So I think those are probably the best places to go, learn, definitely get some valuable free content, free resources to help you at whatever point you are in your marketing journey. And I'd love to speak with anybody who is interested in diving into it a little bit more.
Okay, awesome. Ian, you want to take us out?
Sure. Thanks to our viewers and listeners for joining us today. Thank you, Allie, for joining us. This has been absolutely fantastic. We invite our listeners and viewers to submit questions. If there's a burning marketing issue that you're dealing with, send it our way and we'll cover it. And if you're getting value from this podcast, be sure to share it with your colleagues, friends, family, dogs, cats, squirrels. And be sure to review the podcast as well. And until next week, folks, keep calm and market on.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.